Hello and very welcome. This is Wechsler Consulting Cloud News. And this is a September release in 2020. Hopefully you had a great summer, as we here in Germany are already heading towards fall, and we even had our first snow in the mountains. I'm your host Alexander Wechsler, and I do hope you're looking forward to the newest Azure information that happened to surface during September. As always, we're going to have a look at the highlighted topics that were announced this month. This time the main announcement came out of the Ignite conference, of course, which was held last week and brought some interesting news in some of our cloud technology areas. And our focus topic this month are the Azure IoT updates, which were also mainly announced at the Ignite conference. Let's delve right into our Azure Talk topics, and as already stated, they are mainly originating from the Microsoft Ignite 2020 conference. We're going to start with Azure Orbital, which is a ground station service for satellites in the cloud, something I was really surprised to hear, and as an aerospace engineer by trade, I really was intrigued by that. Nevertheless, that's not something most companies are really able to use, because you need your own satellites to leverage the new platform as a service ground stations. But maybe if you're in this vertical market, this might be a very interesting asset to your next solution. Much more down to earth and real world is the release of Azure SQL Edge, which is an Azure IoT Edge container that contains a completely working SQL Server database. And this is very helpful in IoT scenarios where you want to process not all of your data in the cloud. This may be due to privacy reasons, but also data volume reasons. So if you have 1 million sensors, it doesn't make sense to use the data to flood the internet. Therefore, if you can store and process this data on the edge, it might really help to speed up communication as well as processing requirements. In addition to that, Azure Cognitive Services are constantly improving, and one of the newest features is the spatial analysis capability of the computer vision section in Cognitive Services, which allows you to determine, for example, the distance between people, assets, and so on. With Azure Communications, Microsoft is now introducing a completely new platform service, which is based around audio and video conferencing and also allows text messages. Just think of it as reusing Teams functionality in your own application, and that's exactly the functionality that this service is built upon. So you can enhance your own application with Teams functionality. And what I even find more interesting, you're also able to integrate your application with Teams. And this might be very interesting to a lot of companies who have field workers and remote workers using dedicated applications, which can now be seamlessly integrated into Teams as the common company messaging infrastructure. Microsoft is really pushing Windows Virtual Desktop as their means to manage company desktops as well as applications on the cloud. And if you're using, for example, the Windows 10 multi-session image, you are able to much more efficiently use cloud hardware as you would be able to use your own company's hardware on-premise or in your data center. Therefore, I highly recommend to have a closer look at Windows Virtual Desktop, which is getting more and more mature. But things not only happen in the cloud, there's also interesting news from .NET 5. As you may know, .NET 5 is now the newest version of .NET, which is completely based on .NET Core, but also integrates a lot of the features we have been used to from the classical .NET. And now the new release candidate number 1 is available, so that interested developers are able to test and play around with that new, very interesting piece of development infrastructure. Now let's have a look at our focus topic, the really long list of announcements which have been made at Ignite regarding Azure IoT. As you may know, Azure Sphere is one of my favorite technological developments in IoT currently, and there's good news regarding Azure Sphere as well. The Guardian module, which is a special product built on Azure Sphere, which helps you to connect any IoT device or solution in field securely to the internet, can now be equipped with a wireless radio in partnership with AT&T, which is quite interesting for mobile or remotely located field devices. Talking about Azure Sphere, there also have been quite a few enhancements on the new Microsoft real-time operating system, Azure RTOS, to integrate much better with Azure Sphere. As you may know, a Sphere device has not only one ARM core, but 4, and you're able to run Azure RTOS on one of these cores, handling a real-time workload directly on the Azure Sphere system without the need for any additional hardware. The Azure Sphere team was working hard to do a better integration here, which enables some quite interesting scenarios, having a secure internet connection as well as real-time capabilities in the same device. More news, we're focusing on Azure IoT Edge and Azure Stack. These are the Edge and on-premises versions of Azure technologies. Very interesting is that now Azure IoT Edge deployments support the cascading of the containers. This is a very interesting architectural approach because it enables you to create hierarchical architectures with the help of Edge containers, which can be managed out of the cloud. These hierarchical architectures have benefits. For example, if you're processing events, higher quality events can always be processed and evaluated in an additional layer. And by doing this, you can have distributed intelligence in your solution. People in need of completely disconnected IoT scenarios, which may be due to connectivity or privacy reasons, may be happy to hear that IoT Hub, the IoT messaging endpoint, is now available to run on-premise, leveraging the Azure Stack Hub infrastructure, which enables you to use the same set of technologies in a connected as well as a disconnected fashion. Another announcement that could turn into a game changer is IoT Plug and Play, which now transforms from a previous state into global availability, which means we now have the first release. This is a technology which pretty much can be compared to Windows Plug and Play, and if it's successful, it could be a great enabler in the IoT industry. Definitely recommended to have a look at Azure IoT Plug and Play here, leveraging also device twins and a lot of interesting standards and functionalities. Talking about Azure Digital Twins, they also reach global availability now, which is really great because they also have proven to be a great asset to any IoT solution handling devices and device states. Microsoft also announced new trainings and certifications in the Azure IoT area, not only for the freshly announced functionality, but also for their existing technologies and services. And last but not least, there was also an update on IoT Central to provide better integration in customers' business processes and also to offer more flexibility looking at device management as well as the management of the overall IoT Central solution. What else happened at Wechsler Consulting during September? Well, we've got our courses out on Azure IoT Telemetry, which provides valuable jumpstart information for anybody who wants to start with Azure IoT. Then we have the OPC Unified General Architecture course out, which focuses on the .NET Core reference track, also something brand new and quite unique. So if you want to connect your devices with OPC Unified Architecture and .NET Core, definitely recommended to have a look at our course. New posts in September were around Azure IoT Plug and Play, which I see as a possible game changer in the field of IoT. And as a long-time Windows mobile phone expert, I wrote a post for Microsoft's newest approach in this field, which is called Service Duo, which is quite an interesting but also different mobile phone running the Android operating system. So if that sounds interesting, just have a look at the Wechsler Consulting Cloud Campus blog. That's it for this month's episode. I hope you find the information useful, and if there are any questions, please leave a message below. Thanks a lot and goodbye from Alexander Wechsler.